Hello all. Blarg here. If you haven't heard already, Blair White appeared on Chris Hansen's YouTube show on Wednesday. They discussed multiple subjects including Jessica Yaniv, and yes, the topic of ONISION came up. We have cut down the interview to showcase only those parts relevant to the ONISION situation. Let's begin, shall we?
One of the streamers who I see a lot, and I get a lot of people saying you ought to look into him, you ought to look into him, and somebody you have looked into is this ONISION.
Okay, so it's finally happening. After all of the Twitter exchanges, Chris Hansen has entered the room.
How did he get on your radar? And there are multiple allegations, no criminal charges, we should be very clear.
Allegedly.
That he and his partner have groomed underage girls and lured them, sometimes later when they became of age, into inappropriate behavior, some of which might have been streamed.
This part is a bit confusing. The phrase lured into inappropriate behavior which might have been streamed. I am unaware of any behavior, besides his actions with Shiloh, that was deemed inappropriate and put on YouTube. We have all seen the aftermath of this behavior streamed, but I can't recall any live action inappropriateness. Corrections welcome in the comments.
Yeah, so I first came across ONISION, whose real name is Greg.
My name is not Greg.
A couple years ago, because I actually made a response video to him that was entirely political. Had nothing to do with the allegations. I didn't know about the allegations at the time. And then things started further unfolding, and there were just a ton of really creepy allegations. At one time, he was sort of like farming inappropriate photos of underage girls on his website. Made a video about that, and then he kind of fell off my radar. I kind of stopped caring about him because he was just a mess, and I just never expected him to be anything but a mess. But as of recently, there's a lot more serious allegations of him actually moving an underage girl into his home at the age of 15 named Sarah. I actually interviewed her on my channel. And Sarah is 18 now, but basically he swooped her up out of her bad living situation, had her living with him and his partner Kai, and basically groomed her. And then the minute she turned 18, they had sex. So obviously that is not explicitly illegal, but it is incredibly predatory and incredibly disturbing.
Nice summary from Blair so far.
How does someone like that, if the allegations are in fact true, and again, I mean, every day, look into ONISION, he's done this, he's done that. I've seen videos indicating, behavior. How does somebody like that keep on going? And it's allowed by YouTube.
I genuinely don't know, because I know that YouTube, bans people over far less, gives people strikes over far less.
Get it together, YouTube.
And I think it's especially an issue when, he's explicitly using his sort of, fame is an interesting word. He's a public figure on YouTube.
Right.
But that has an elevated status over his fans. So he's using that sort of elevated status and that power dynamic to lure in underage girls. And I think the real truth that people don't really talk about too often is that a lot of celebrities are like that. I live in Hollywood. It happens a lot here. But I do wish in this particular case that YouTube would stand up on that.
Now, I should say that we reached out to ONISION, Gregory Jackson, for his comment, his input, maybe even his appearance on this show or one of my other shows. And he immediately requested $350,000.
Oh, Greg, sweetie, darling.
We don't pay people. We're journalists here, at least
right.
on my channel. And then Vincent Nicotra, who is with us tonight, as everybody knows, reached back to him and said, look, we don't do that. But if you're, serious about getting your point across or defending yourself against these allegations, we'd love to have you. And then he said back in an email that we better be careful, because if we get into any allegations or talk to you about the allegations, he will sue our shoe. Apparently shoe is supposed to be show, but he said shoe. So.
And we're back with a brand new hashtag.
That's the extent that we heard from ONISION.
Did you reply?
No, just that, we're here if you want to talk to us, and we're going to do the show that we want to do.
After this segment, they seem to focus heavily on the Jessica Yaniv situation and the fact that Blair was doxxed. Chris HANSEN also delved into Blaire's past and her process of transitioning. They started to touch on the Me Too movement in Hollywood and moved back to where we are now. Here we go.
What about in the streaming community? Do you think there's this sort of sexual misconduct going on? I mean, obviously we see it in the behavior that I've exposed or taken a look at, you've exposed, taken a look at. I mean, it seems like, there's just so much opportunity and it's so vastly unregulated. And the discrepancy to me is, they'll go after an honest channel for something that's an oversight, and yet somebody is, doing what, Jessica Yaniv is doing, or what ONISION is allegedly doing, and there's no scrutiny whatsoever. What do you say to YouTube about this? And again, look, nobody's trying to infringe on anybody's First Amendment rights, and part of the magic here is of the whole media is that it is a little bit of the wild, wild west, and everybody has access to it, and people can say what they want, and I'll fight for anybody's First Amendment freedoms. But does YouTube have to crack down? Does this have to be regulated some way?
I mean, I think honestly, if there's any channel that I would actually support and enjoy being banned, it is ONISION. Let's keep it real. I think that if you're using your channel to prey on underage girls, that's a channel that probably should be banned. What's interesting is that, I've been doing YouTube for a few years now. And you just hear things about other YouTubers and other streamers and other influencers. And it is very much like, sort of the more mainstream celebrity culture, where a lot of these YouTubers, they do have this ego about them in which they can just abuse people and they can use fans. And that's incredibly toxic. So it's just, I think a lot of people that get into YouTubing and streaming, this is not everyone, this is not a blanket statement, but what I've seen sometimes is that a lot of us were maybe the bullied kids in school, maybe the less popular kids in school. And then later in life, we get this fame and this money and this attention. And a lot of them are just kind of swinging their power around. And it's just really weird. And so it's a culture that lends itself to that sort of predation sometimes. It's sad though.
So do you think there should be a rating system? Do you think there should be something in place to more closely monitor this?
I think for all the really dumb things that the people who run YouTube care about, and the things that they really will come down on people for and give people strikes for.
Like having the TV on in the background for copyright strikes.
Oh, Chris, you YouTube guru.
That. They'd be sooner to ban you for that than for grooming underage girls, which is really, really
ridiculous.
Yeah, there should be probably someone on YouTube making sure that type of thing doesn't happen. But what's crazy is that the ONISION stuff specifically is so public and so widely known. Videos about him and his accusations go viral instantly. It's crazy because his channel gets like very low views, but any video about him and his accusations just goes viral. So everyone knows, YouTube knows, but no one's acting on it, which is really weird.
This is a constant stream of comments coming through, ban ONISION. Who's Kai?
And finally, Kai is on Chris HANSEN's radar as well. Spill it, Blaire.
Kai.
Kai is
something on your radar?
Kai is his partner. And you can't write this, Chris. You're not even going to believe me, but Kai is also trans.
Right, I had read that.
Kai is female to male. You can't write this. But is also identified as like everything you can identify as in the past. So who knows if they're really trans or not? I don't know.
So ironically, ONISION's significant other partner claims to be transgender as well.
Yeah. I don't know what world.
How do you make this up, Blaire?
I don't know, Chris. But Kai is actually someone who sometimes flies a little bit under the radar. But some of the stuff that Kai has done, and I'm going to support everyone in the chat who's telling you to make a dedicated video about this, because I think you'd make a great video about it.
Yes, please.
Right.
But Kai actually flies on the radar sometimes. There are texts from Kai to underage girls, like naked pictures. Which is very explicitly illegal. So I think people should focus on Kai a little more too.
Right. But when you talk about the naked pictures, what do you mean exactly? That she has gotten pictures of other people and put them out there? Or explain what that means. What's happening there?
I interviewed the victim, Sarah, who lived with ONISION and Kai.
Right.
and she said that she had routinely texted naked pictures with Kai. So as an underage person to Kai, who's an adult. So, yeah, take that for what you will. I mean, that's very illegal. I don't know how people get away with this. I know there are even kids, 16-year-olds who go to jail for texting their 17-year-old boyfriend.
Right, with pictures. This happens all the time. It's not the intent of the law, but it ends up being one of the results of it. And here we have this, what appears to be a blatant violation of YouTube standards.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a little blown away by the fact that nobody's even taken a look at this thing at YouTube. I mean, I guess I don't know for sure. Maybe there is an investigation, but it seems like there should be, right?
I don't know. I think as long as actual charges are absent from this story, then I guess YouTube's not going to act.
Who watches something like that? I mean, does ONISION have a lot of followers? Are people just, in for the creep show?
He has a lot of followers, but they're a lot from way back in the day because he's been on YouTube for a long time. So really no one watches him anymore, but there's still people technically subscribed to him.
At this point, Chris Hansen starts taking audience questions and our good friend, Lucidia, pops up.
Blair, we have Lucidia who wants to know about ONISION, and how far are you into looking into his behavior, and are you going to bring it up to YouTube's attention?
I will admit I haven't tried to reach out directly to YouTube. I don't really know how to do that. YouTube is very evasive of its creators unless you have like 20 million subscribers probably. But that probably is an avenue I should undergo. So honestly, I will try to do that actually.
But I also wonder, honestly, and I'm just being brutally honest here, I think some of these people, they walk a fine line. They do some outrageous things. They say some outrageous things because it generates controversy, because it generates viewers and subscribers, and ultimately the monetization of the channel. And you can make good money if you are at that level.
Yeah.
And so I wonder how much is hype, how much of it is, like being Howard Stern 30 years ago when he was a shock jock and it blew everybody away. And it was like, oh my God, you can't, this is outrageous. And then, he evolves into probably one of the best interviewers on radio in America today. And while pushing the envelope still much more mainstream than, when the word shock jock or the phrase shock jock was first coined.
Going to have to agree here that ONISION, at times, is definitely trying to be a shock jock. We've seen him present personal drama on a platter because he knows it will get him views. But at what cost?
So again, and I'll fight for anybody's First Amendment, even if I don't agree with what they say, but, predatory behavior is predatory behavior. But then we move into these other areas, that do generate controversy and interest. And I think it's going to be a bit of a moving target for us going forward to, identify and go after somebody who deserves to be targeted versus, somebody who's just a loudmouth being obnoxious to get, viewers to throw him cash.
Is this Chris Hansen saying he has to tread lightly on accusing ONISION, or do you think he just hasn't done enough research yet?
It's a fine line.
I think what's interesting is that, like you said, controversy is monetizable and it is profitable.
Oh yeah, I mean, I get it. I made a fine living being a crime reporter.
Yeah.
Understand it. People don't do stuff for free. Maybe, in some aspects. I mean, I do some stuff for free, but I mean, we're all out here trying to make a living.
They then take another question from the viewing audience, which brings up an interesting comparison.
Here's a response. It's not a question, but Austin Jones. Are you familiar with Austin Jones?
Right. Yeah, we did a show on Austin Jones one night.
Yeah.
Austin Jones did the same thing on YouTube, and he didn't ban his channel until he was convicted.
Yeah,
He pleaded guilty. Yeah.
Yeah, what's interesting about that is that a lot of the people we're talking about here, the ONISIONs and whatever, they do a lot of things that are awful, creepy, whatever, but they know how to skate the line and not explicitly break the law. So I think that's what we have to deal with him, is that he's a creep, but he's not a stupid creep.
Let's reflect on this. Do you think ONISION was smart enough to fully skirt the law? And since legalities are something he likes to bring up, do you think Kai can be afforded that same backhanded compliment?
Pure opinion, Blair.
Okay.
Do you believe that ONISION and Kay will be deplatformed?
I think if there's ever conviction, then yes. If not, probably not.
So there's got to be a conviction. I mean, we're out there, dealing with issues every week that, seem inane in some respects. Yet, here's a couple doing this online, and you think it would take actual criminal charges before they'd be deplatformed on YouTube?
I think so. I mean, just based on the past with the Austin Jones or whatever, that's what happened with him. So.
And there you have it. That was the end of any ONISION mentions. Do you think enough was revealed about the situation in this interview? Please leave your comments below. Also, it looks like it's confirmed. Repzion will be joining Chris HANSEN on a forthcoming episode. And an update in ONISION world, he is shutting down the infamous forums. There are also whispers floating around about a wiped hard drive. Let's see what comes of all of this. Blarg you later. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and follow us on Twitter to keep up to date on your favorite streamers. Blarg you later.